Left-leaning progressives looking at ways to tax the wealthy have aimed their sights at cash-out refinances. I'm Tony, and this is Real Estate Investing and Landlord News. All right, so I have an interesting article for you today, and it's going over taxation. You know, one of the things that landlords and, well, just pretty much everybody absolutely hates. So obviously, left-leaning progressives, they think that the wealthy don't pay enough taxes, okay? I disagree. I personally, looking at it, the wealthy pay the grand majority of taxes in the entire country. In fact, I believe that I read that the bottom 40% of the population has 0% effective federal income tax rate, okay? And so if the bottom 40% of the population is paying nothing, and then the top, I can't remember what the percentage is, but like the top 10% pays almost everything. It's absolutely insane when you read the numbers. But now they figured out a new way to go after, the money of the wealthy people, right? And they want to go after the money that you receive when you do a cash out refinance. So they want to tax loans that you're taking on your, assets. And that's absolutely insane. This could have very, very bad implications for, real estate investors, for landlords, heck, for even regular old homeowners. Okay. So, they say they're going after the wealthy, but hey, when you consider the fact that people don't have a lot of wealth in their home equity, and that sometimes in order to tap that home equity, they do cash out refinances or they use a home equity line of credit, and then they want to tax that money. Well, that means that just average Joes like you and me, we could end up facing huge tax bills just to borrow money. Okay? Now, before I get into the article, go ahead, hit the like and subscribe button, maybe leave a comment down below, and let me know what you think, okay? Do you think that they could figure out some way to tax the money that you are borrowing, like when you do a cash out refinance, take a home equity loan, or get a home equity line of credit, okay? Now, this seems kind of odd. It's weird that the author of this brings up this concept right here, because I read about this concept years ago, okay? And, part of it is that this is what the wealthy do in order to get around having to pay taxes all the time. And this is how the wealthy use all of their assets in order to, basically make a lot of money without paying huge tax bills, okay? So what they do is, and, I'm explaining this for the people who are watching this who aren't real estate investors, aren't landlords, and, they don't understand exactly how, money works and how all of this works. Okay. So what they do is they have a cash flowing asset, right? Be that a piece of, real estate, like, for example, a rental property, right? Like a single family house, or a business, right? And they have a lot of equity in that asset, right? So we'll use the example of a rental house just as an example, okay? Just to make this easier, right? And, I'm going to go through this real quick. And so, if it's kind of simplified, just bear with me, all right? So you have this rental house, right? And it's worth, let's say, $200,000, right? And, what you do is you have a tenant in there. You have that tenant paying $2,000 a month rent, okay? And, you have a mortgage on that property. Your mortgage is, let's say it's $1,000 a month. Okay, so they're paying $2,000 a month rent, right? The mortgage is $1,000 a month, and with all your expenses, everything combined, it comes up to, hey, I'm paying, $1,500 a month for all of my expenses, everything. I get $500 a month in cash flow, and the tenants are essentially paying to all the bills on this property, and I make a little itty bitty cash flow. Well, you own that property long enough, and that $200,000 house is now worth $300,000. So you go back to the bank, right? And you say, hey, I want to do a cash out refinance of this property, right? The bank tells you, okay, Cool. We'll give you 75% of its new $300,000 value. Okay. So the 75% of $300,000 is $225,000, right? And so, you have your original $200,000 loan on there, but the bank, you do the refinance and they give you $225,000. So they pay off your original loan and then give you the $25,000 extra. Okay. And so then you use that $25,000 any way you want. Okay. And the thing is though, right? These left-leaning progressives, they want to tax that $25,000, even though it's a loan, even though you're paying interest on it, even though, this isn't officially earned income, right? And so, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised that they finally figured out that this is the way that the wealthy have money, even though they don't have much, actual taxable income. But, it shocks me because this sort of thing can really, really hurt just regular old, property owners, regular people who are living in their own home, just regular homeowners, because homeowners do a lot of refinances. They do a lot of, they're always drawing the equity out to do home improvements or whatever, And a tax on this sort of income would be devastating for a lot of people. And it would just basically kill, a lot of the mortgage activity and a lot of the financial activity going around right now. So, before I go too far into, my own little, examples, etc., let me get into the article. So this article is coming from Forbes, and it says, "Don't tax the wealth of the rich, tax what they borrow." All right, let's see what it says. ProPublica recently reported on a trove of IRS data that showed the incomes and tax rates of the 400 Americans with the highest incomes from 2013 to 2018. First, for scale, this is the typical American's income compared to what it took to get into the top 5%, e.g., a primary care doctor's salary, or the top 1%, e.g., a successful law firm partner's haul, they wrote, that was $40,000 to at least $198,000 to at least $485,000 a year. And none of that comes close to big wealth. To get on the top 400 list meant an average annual income of $110 million a year, ruling out even top sports and entertainment figures who are relatively wealthy but are not overwhelmingly loaded the way those at the top of the economic pyramid are. Taxing wealth has become a popular topic among many, including politicians in D.C. It sounds like elected officials are finally doing something and trying to even the massive playing field that separates most of the population from those who are rich. But those who follow such things realize that this is highly unlikely to happen, not just because of the billions poured into election campaigns that politicians want to keep attracting. According to the Center for Responsive Politics, in the decade immediately following the Supreme Court decision in the Citizens United case, which opened the floodgates for political spending, the top 10 donors and their spouses alone put $1.2 billion into federal elections. That doesn't count whatever other they spent on state elections to protect their personal interests. So this author immediately is saying, hey, the wealthy are not paying enough. That's essentially what this author is saying. They think that, hey, like doctors and lawyers, they're not nothing compared to these people making, 110, 120 million plus a year, right? And that's the truth. Yeah, they're not. But there's a very, very tiny percentage of these people who are super wealthy, okay? And they are taxed every which way you could imagine. I mean, they pay way more taxes than you could even believe. So, saying that they're not paying enough, it's very misleading. Okay. It's very, very misleading because a person who is paying an effective tax rate of 25% who makes $1 billion a year is paying $250 million a year. I mean, that is a huge amount of money compared to the average person. So, I mean, yeah, their tax rate actually might be lower, but they also think about how much this person contributes to the economy, how many people they employ, how many, just how much money they spend. It's not like they're just holding this money in a money bin. This is something, misperception that a lot of people, they have on the very wealthy. Like they just have, just stacks of money piled somewhere that they're just hoarding. No, the super wealthy, they reinvest that money back into the economy. Hell, the regular wealthy reinvest the money. Everyone is constantly spending money, saving money, investing money. Money, it flows, it flows. It is very hard to hold on to money for a long period of time, regardless of anything, And so, I am not against the super wealthy, right? Because I understand better how money works and why they do what they do. The same rules that apply to them apply to us as real estate investors and as, just normal people who are living our lives. We can do the same things they do. And maybe if you do the same things that they do, you will become wealthy. Maybe not as wealthy as them, but wealthy nonetheless. But let me continue. Aside from influence by credit card, there are practical issues. Wealth at this level involves mostly non-cash assets that aren't usually taxable until after they're sold. Trying to decide what it's all truly worth would be a monumental task. Then there would be the fights about assessments, even if you could get agreement on taxes in the first place. The legal challenges would take years with people of vast resources able to put up such a defense that the specific government budgets, time, and personnel available to keep up would be inadequate. There's another approach that might work far better, taxing what the wealthy borrow. As ProPublica notes, many of the massively wealthy get loans, using their wealth as collateral. The average person might wonder why they would borrow with enough money to buy virtually anything they like. That's because the rich have a different approach. They look for limited income because that is taxable at high rates. Instead, they minimize the cash that would be taxed at regular rates because they'd pay the top rate of 37% on anything they couldn't wipe away with technical losses in investments. Instead, the wealthy borrow. They know there is a big difference in paying the lowest rate available for borrowed money, even now likely well under 2% because they are such good risks, and the top end of taxes. There is also the growth in value of their investments that exceeds the cost of borrowing, so they want to keep the assets. Yeah, what they're talking about, and any real estate investor knows this is, basically cash out refinancing, right? Now, I read about one of the ways that wealthy people can use equity from their property in real estate in order to basically live their life and pay almost no taxes. I read about this 10 plus years ago in the book, The Millionaire Real Estate Investor. Okay. I read about this and I realized I was going to use this exact plan in order to, basically use a limited number of properties to boost my income tax free with money. And I've been doing it for years now. I've done, over a dozen refinances within the last 5 years, and I refinanced 3 properties this year and pulled out $125,000. And all of that was tax free. And meanwhile, I was able to actually lower the payment on 2 out of my 3 properties that I refinanced, and I still own them all because of a gain in equity. And, it's a mathematical equation that the wealthy understand better than the low income people. But of course, now we have these left leaning progressive authors who are saying, "Oh, this is wrong. This is wrong that the wealthy are doing this." This is a strategy that anyone can use. I wasn't rich when I decided to started doing this. I wasn't, one of the top 1%. I wasn't the Elon Musk of the world. This is something that I do owning some single family houses, and what I will probably do when I'm going into retirement to supplement, my 401k retirement income. So, there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with it. But now they're saying that we should pay tax on a loan. And how far is this going to go? Is this going to go after the homeowner who wants to install a new pool in his backyard? Well, will you borrow 50 grand from your HELOC, so you have to pay taxes on that 50 grand? I mean, I don't know. I don't know. How far are they willing to go? They're always looking for a new way to tax people. They're always looking for a new way to try to extract money out of people, because I feel like socialists are jealous. They're just jealous that somebody has more than they do and they don't think it's fair. So rather than saying, hey, we want to build up the lower income people so that they have more money, so that they're doing better in life, rather than saying that, right, we're going to build up the lower income, we're going to get them so that they're living a higher quality of life, they say, hey, we want to drag everyone who is wealthier than us down to to this low level. That's what socialism does. That's what communism does. It drags down the middle class, it drags down the upper class and makes them poor, because they say, well, if we're all poor, then we're all equal. That's what they want. That's why I hate it so much, because it doesn't improve people's lives. It declines the lifestyle of the majority of people, and it makes the poor people even poorer. Okay, so what you end up with is you have this super elite government class, right, who are still they're the super wealthy now. You strip away the small business owners' wealth. You strip away the ability for the average person to become better and live a better life, and then you make this huge, vast, super poor working class of people. You've got doctors. You look at a place like Cuba, you've got doctors who are poor. Worked 10 years of their life, and now they are earning the same as a janitor. Okay, that's how ridiculous it is. And the only people who are wealthy are the connected government class, who think they're better than everyone else. Okay, so if you want socialism, that's what you can look forward to. If you want ridiculous amounts of taxation, that's what you can look forward to. So yeah, I'm off on a rant. This is a little bit of a longer video, but when it comes to all these ridiculous new taxes, all this ridiculous stuff that always trying to go after the wealthy, remember, they're not going after the wealthy. The wealthy don't have enough money. Even if they stripped every single penny away from them, they would not have enough money to run this government for even a year. That's why they're always going to be coming after the middle class. Okay, that's why they're going to be coming after you and me. That's why I'm always going to fight anything like this that they propose.